เราเริ่มได้นะครับ Yes we can start
Welcome to you all for this afternoon session or workshop on traditional asanas. This workshop will be divided into two sessions. The first session will be on the theoretical understanding about the concept, and then we shall come to the practical session. In the morning, I tried to express the need of research in the various techniques of yoga. Same thing is true also about the technique of asanas. This is because asana is a very popular technique of yoga, but at the same time it is grossly misunderstood. Therefore, proper understanding about the concept and the technique of asanas is necessary. Asana is one of the characteristic techniques of spiritual discipline. The motionless position in asana of the body is a sign of transcending the human consciousness. Asana is not merely a physical performance. When you sit motionless and close your eyes, it is not a mere physical performance. You are connecting yourself to something which is beyond physical. Today, the practice of asana has become synonymous with yoga. In order to remove the misunderstanding, we must analyze the concept and the technique of asana. The word asana has been derived from the Sanskrit root as, meaning to sit. This derivative meaning explains the term physically as well as metaphysically. Physically, it denotes a sitting posture or a seat. Metaphysically, it has been interpreted in traditional texts as establishing oneself in his original nature. The traditional text says, Asanam iti swaswarupe samasannata, or Asanasthaha sukham hrade nimajjati, which means that on which yogi sits with a sense of full identification with the divine is asana. Asana in this context is the power of highest Shakti. Asana here is not physical seat but mental composition. So asana means one who is mentally established in the Parashakti and is always mindful of her. There are two meanings of asana. One is a posture and another is the seat on which you sit. Asana as a seat has such synonyms as garta, vandura, patta, sthala, sthana, barhi, etc. In traditional literature, different effects have been attributed to the material of which seat is made. Great significance is attached to the material of which the seat is made. And the material, that is the seat made of cotton, wool, or any skin of preferred animals like deer and tiger, is recommended by the yogis. As I said, different effects of use of particular seat having particular material is described in the traditional literature. The antiquity of asana as a posture is very great. It seems that at one time, asana or the practice of yoga was universal, and we find the evidences in different civilizations. We find the evidences of the asanas in Mohenjo-daro civilization, Harappan civilization, Mexican Mayan civilization, Incas and Celtic civilization. These civilizations disappeared. However, the tradition in India continued. The ancient books that are available to mankind today are the Vedas. But in Vedic literature, we do not get the direct reference to the word asana. There are no names of asanas we find in Vedic literature. Yet, we get some modes of sitting. There is no mention of asana even in the earliest Upanishads. The term asana as a posture has other synonyms in the literature as pitha, vishtara and nishadana. But we find that asana is a very ancient technique. Buddha himself had practiced yoga, and he is shown traditionally sitting in Padmasana. In Buddhist tradition, earliest mention about asana as technique occurs in Buddha Charita of Ashwaghosha. Various modes of sitting were assigned spiritual significance. Thus, we find in Buddhist literature mention of Paryanka, Vajra Paryanka, Lalita, Bhadra, Alidha, Pratyalidha, Natya, and variety of Ardha Paryanka asanas. Founder of Jainism, Mahavira, was a contemporary of Gautam Buddha. Although the tradition of Jaina Yoga does not coincide with Hatha Yogic practices, we do find the influence of Hatha Yoga on Jaina writers. The later writers on Jainism do refer to many asanas of Hatha Yoga type. Asanas are innumerable. However, many traditional texts talk about 84 asanas. But no modern book on asanas mention about 84 traditional asanas. We have recently published some ancient texts which mention and give the names of 84 asanas. Modern practitioners of yoga do not know many names and the number of traditional asanas. We are working on preparing an encyclopedia of traditional asanas. We have already collected from the traditional texts more than 800 asanas, the names of which we do not know, the modern yoga teachers also do not know. The names of the asanas are given after animate beings like birds, fishes, reptiles, plants and insects. There are names after inanimate objects also, like bow or dhanurasan, plow like halasan or shavasan, the cadaver. There are also the names of asanas after master yogins like Matsyendrasan, Gorakshasan, etc. There are names after the symbols of psychological states like Swastikasan, Bhadrasan, etc. They are also named after the forms that are seen like Trikonasan, Konasan, Chatushkonasan, etc. Asanas could be classified according to the body position For example, sitting asana, standing asana, supine asana, or prone lying asana. In different asanas, different body positions are used. They are practiced on the left side or right side, and accordingly the distinction is made in the names of the asanas. Asanas could be classified according to the purpose, like meditation or conditioning of the body. They are also classified according to the traditions of yogis, munis, etc. Coming to the characteristics of asanas, we must refer to the Patanjali, the great authority, who talks about the important characteristics of asana. He suggests two important characteristics of asana. These two characteristics are stability and comfort, sthira sukham asanam. This removes the misunderstanding about the asana as treating them physical. Stability is the characteristics of body, which is physical. But comfort is the characteristic which is psychological. Thus, asana is not physical, it is psychophysical. If we understand these two important characteristics which are applied to every asana, then we shall have a altogether different perspective on asana. Asana is a posture. Asana is not exercise. Yeah. Not understanding this traditional outlook on asanas, today we try to superimpose our ideas of exercise on the asana. The purpose of exercise is physical. The purpose of asana is not physical, it is psychophysical. The mechanism involved in exercise is different than the mechanism involved in asana. Physiologically, asana can be described as static stretching practice. Physiologically defined exercise involves repeated movements of particular part of the body. There is no exercise in which there is no movement. The philosophy of exercise is different from the philosophy of asana. The technique of exercise is different than the technique of asana. In exercise, you try to do more and more. You use your force. In asanas, you reduce the force without force and try to relax more and more in asanas. Therefore, you must distinguish clearly between the posture, asana, and the exercise. Because the results of the asanas will depend on how you perform those asanas. And today, modern teachers of yoga are inventing new methods how to force your body, how to excel your performance. This is against the philosophy and the principle of yoga itself. The guiding principle given by Patanjali for the practice of asana is effortlessness, prayatna shaithilya. These two important aphorisms given by Patanjali gives you insight into the nature and the practice of asanas. You are stable in a particular asana so long as you are comfortable. The moment you are uncomfortable, you change the position. That is, the stability is gone. That is why these two characteristics are interrelated, stability and comfort. You are comfortable so long as you are stable. You are stable so long as you are comfortable. If you are uncomfortable, you are unstable. When you are unstable, that is an indication of discomfort. Another important principle involved in the asana, especially used for meditative posture, is erect sitting posture. So if you remember these three important characteristics, then you have a better insight into the performance of asanas. For the performance of asanas, some of the principles must be taken into consideration. The first important principle, therefore, of the asanas is to understand asana is a static stretching practice. Second principle is asana should be done slowly and without jerks. This helps in relaxation of the muscles. And only when you perform the asanas in this manner, you have the psycho-physical bearing on person's behavior. Today, there is a great role to be played with the practice of asanas in modern society. Modern man is subjected to different kinds of stresses and strains. When there is any kind of stress or tension, the first effect is seen in the contraction of the muscles. If one is subjected to the continuous stressful situation, this contraction increases, leading to pain. The contraction is not observed only on the skeletal or big muscles, but this abnormal contraction also spreads in vital organs of the body. And the normal function of these organs is disturbed. This leads to modern psychosomatic problems. Modern doctors suggest when you are under stress, you should relax. But how to relax? Relaxation is not a simple thing, because relaxation is not only physical, it is psychophysical. And for attaining this relaxation, asanas have a great role to play. This is by means of stretching your asanas, stretching your muscles, This is a natural tendency on the part of living being to stretch. Animals stretch. You also stretch when you are tired. Immediately you feel good. Because physiologically it works not on the physical organs, but also it helps to deal with your psychological tensions. Remember, it is not only relaxation or shavasana which gives you the sense of relaxation, but all the asanas involving stretch contributes to the sense of relaxation. Thus, asanas have psychophysical effects on one's behavior. Therefore, it is absolutely necessary for every human being in the modern society to practice asanas. For the practice of asanas, due consideration should be given to the limitations of age, physical conditions, and also the sex. All asanas are not suitable for all people. You have to be selective. And this selection should be based on your limitations, your capacities and abilities. During the practice of asanas, mind should be engaged in following the sensations you are experiencing during the asana, or attend to the course of breath during the asanas. As a routine of asanas, it is better to start with meditative posture. Although we talk about traditional asanas, some traditional asanas are really difficult. But it is not necessary that you should perform only difficult asanas. Difficult asanas could be made simple by modifying them, provided you respect the principle involved in that particular asana. That is why during the practice of asana, you must understand and respect the principle of progression. Start with the simple postures and go on building up more and more difficult postures later on. If you understand these principles and follow them in your practice, you are bound to get the results out of your practice of asanas. Today, asanas are applied in varied situations. These may be mentioned briefly in the form of observing or practicing the asanas for painless childbirth. Today there is a growing tendency of the medical doctors to go in for cesarean operations as soon as they find a little difficulties. They don't respect the natural urge or sensations, and this can be improved upon by regular practice of asanas. There are scientific investigations and evidences which suggest the improvement of behavior of school children, prevention of emotional disturbances during adolescent period of the children can be overcome through the practice of the asanas regularly introduced in school curriculum. There is improvement in the memory of children as a result of the practice. There is a growing evidence and attraction towards the practice of asanas for prevention and cure of muscle injuries, as also promotion of skills in different games and sports. It is evident now that there is a definite improvement in health and fitness irrespective of age, sex, profession and individual conditions. And as we have seen earlier, there is a definite reduction in the ill effects of the stress. Summarizing our discussion on the asanas, let us come to certain understandings. We have seen that asana is a fundamental practice in yoga. Historically seen, asanas were very few in the beginning.
Yes.
They were in the form of meditative postures. Conditioning asanas were developed later. But real asana is that which enables person to sit in a long drawn meditation, says Tejobindu Upanishad. Ability to maintain a particular asana for 3 hours continuously is called asana jaya, mastery over the asana. Various conditioning asanas are ultimately meant to contribute to the ability of prolonged sitting, which is called asana jaya. With this theoretical understanding, with understanding of the principles involved in the asanas, now we shall come to the practical session. No yoga session could be complete without practice. Yoga is essentially practice. And for this understanding, theoretical background is necessary. This we have prepared, and now we come to the practice. So, get ready for the next session. We have seen the ultimate goal of all asanas is to enable one to sit comfortably for a longer time. One has to apply the 2 characteristics, stability and comfort, to the practice of every asana. Based on the principle of progression, one could start with the preliminary practices to reach the final positions in course of time. All techniques in yoga, including asana, is ultimately meant for calming down the mind, tranquilizing the mind. This is done in the best manner through the meditative postures. For any meditative posture, we have seen the basic principle that you should be able to sit erect, head, neck and trunk in a vertical line. But for this, you have to arrange your feet and hands in the comfortable manner. On the basis of how you arrange your legs, different asanas for sitting are formulated. From simple sitting postures to most difficult sitting postures, probably like Padmasana, which is difficult for the modern people to sit. If one is not able to sit in Padmasana, one need not try for Padmasana. You have to prepare the background. Otherwise, by the time you organize one foot, then it slips and then like that. This is because you have not trained your limbs properly. You do not have the flexibility of joints. If you are not familiar with the basic principles, some people, even if they are not able to sit, they sit like this. You are not keeping your trunk erect. Possibly, instead of this, if you sit in kneeling position, you are able to sit erect. Therefore, you should be guided by your own limitations and capacities, but remembering the principle involved in the practice. So I would suggest you to take any comfortable position, comfortable according to your own standards. You can arrange one foot on one thigh and the other foot under the other thigh, and you could be more comfortable if you feel. Try for a couple of minutes how you are able to sit comfortably, but sit erect. And in order to feel the position, try to keep your eyes closed. Arrange your feet comfortably, place your hands comfortably wherever you feel, and then close your eyes. Try to become aware of your inner self. Withdraw your attention from outside. By closing your eyes, you are entering into a different world. In order to calm down your mind, you can engage your mind in any internal activity like breathing, for example. Breathing is a very natural and spontaneous activity. Just observe how you breathe. Try to feel the cooling sensation at the nose when you breathe in. Feel the warmth of the breath when you exhale. Simply observe. Open your eyes. We begin with a simple practice. Turning the head in 4 directions, but slowly. Better done with closed eyes. Turn your
ดีขึ้น
head to the sides, once to the left, next to the right. Then raise the chin. Allow your head to fall back. Relax your jaw. Feel the stretch in the throat. Return. Bend the head down. Allow your head to fall down. Feel the stretch in the neck. Return. Open your eyes. If you repeat it 2-3 times, you will feel so much relaxed because the tensions linger on your neck and shoulder region. Another simple practice we shall now go. This is in the form of raising the hands over the head, called Parvatasana or the mountain pose. Raise your hands sideward. Both. Join them over your head. Close your eyes. Inhale and raise. Stretch. Return over your head. Hands down. Open your eyes. We were talking about the mode of sitting for meditation. Any mode of sitting requires the flexibility of 3 joints: the ankle joint, the knee joint, and the hip joint. And this can be done with some preliminary practice, which is also traditional in nature. Stretch your legs forward. Now, take hold of your foot with your hands and pull the foot close to the ear. Now you know how flexible you are. With the simple stretching, you are trying to improve your flexibility of joints, ankle joint, knee joint, and especially the hip joint. You are more rigid in the hip joint. Try on the other side. Take hold of your foot
มือ
on
ทั้
the
ง
other
สอง
side
นะ
and
จับไว้
pull.
ที่เท้า
If you are not
ข้างเดียว
able
กัน
to pull too much, hold the position wherever you are comfortable. Okay, a little more progression in this. Now, take hold of your foot on one side. And holding the foot on the other side, again pull like this. Don't imitate me. Feel your limitations. But remember, you try to pull the foot to the ear, not the ear to the. This is a shortcut. Try on the other side. Hold the foot on other side and pull. If you are not able to take hold of the toes, you may hold your leg wherever it is possible. But fix your hand on one side and then pull the leg on the other. Yes. Pull. Yeah,
long.
that's right. You see, this is an archer. You are shooting an arrow. The target is in front. Don't bend down. Look front. This is an excellent stretching for you to prepare yourself for any meditative posture. And soon you will be surprised you are able to sit in Padmasana. Another simple posture. Traditionally, the twist that is described under Matsyendrasana is very, very difficult to perform for the ordinary person. But it can be modified. If you understand the principle involved in Matsyendrasana is that of twist, you can modify your position in order to get the best twist within your limits. Again, stretch your legs forward. Bend one of your legs in the knee, place the foot by the side of the other knee. Now cross your hand beyond your knee,
จาก
if
นั้น
possible. If you are not able to do this, you can hold the knees with your hand. Place the other hand at the back. And by pulling your knee, try to look as far back as possible. Good. Return. Stretch the legs. Now we practice this on the other side. Use the other leg. Place the hand at the back. Cross the other hand and turn. Return. The principle involved in this is to give the twist to the spine. Spine is the most important organ of the body. Youth depends on the flexibility of spine. If the spine gets rigid, you become old.
Yeah.
You become limited in your activities. As they say, you are as old as your spine. Therefore, in order to get the flexibility of spine, the spine should be moved into 4 different directions. One is flexion,
อันที่
forward bending.
ก็คือ
Another is lateral bending. Third is backward bending and the twist. If
And
you have to select the asana, select one of these representative of the spinal movement. Asana described in traditional texts may be found difficult.
นะ
Name of this asana is Paschimottanasana. But it could be modified. Instead of both legs stretched out, you can bend one leg. Take this position.
นะฮะ
Place both of your hands on the legs and simply bend your head. Feel the stretch all along the back. Try to relax as much as possible. Don't force yourself to bend more and more. Emphasize on getting the feeling of stretch along the back. Better if you can bend in your elbows. Return. On the other side, change the legs. Place your hands on the legs and relax. Bend your head forward and try to relax. Return. Now please come to the standing position. Keep your feet little apart. Raise one of your hands sideward and upward.
นะฮะ
One hand. Bend.
ใช่ไหมฮะ
Return. Hands down. On the other side.
ลองอีกข้างหนึง
Raise. Bend. Return. Hands down. Now a simple forward bending position. Bend forward, let loose your head, let loose your hands and hold the position. Don't bend in your knees. Feel the stretch in your back. Return. Take a comfortable sitting position. Close your eyes. One of the important asanas is also Shavasana, but it takes a longer time, and since it was practiced in the morning, I will omit it. We shall now come to the end of our session, and this session will end with Om Shanti 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 all together.
สูดลม
Inhale.
หายใจเข้า
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Open your eyes.
ค่อยๆลืมตาขึ้น
Thank you very much
ขอบคุณค
for
รับ
excellent cooperation.